Well, today we wrap up our sermon series, Light for the World. And on this last Sunday after the Epiphany, the Sunday before Ash Wednesday, we hear the story of the disciples' remarkable mountaintop experience with Jesus shining like the sun, transfigured from a light within. And we ask, how are we called to make sense of this mysterious encounter and to apply it to our daily lives as we turn the corner this week into Lent? So let's begin with another story of a holy encounter that is much closer to home and to our lives. One day late in the winter of 1958, Thomas Merton was changed on the corner of 4th and Walnut in Louisville. There in the center of the shopping district, as he surveyed the vast sea of humanity out running errands, Merton had a vision. Suddenly and quite unexpectedly, everybody, everywhere was shining like the sun. Merton said, "I was overwhelmed with the realization that I loved all of these people and that they were mine and I was theirs." This encounter with the presence of the living God changed Merton's perspective forever. And as a people of faith, we know that our hearts are made for deep encounters with God and with one another. And so even if we're unsure about our faith, we know that we long for moments of transcendence, where we are lifted up into an experience that stirs something deep within us, and like a light bulb switched on, for a fleeting moment we experience and radiate love and peace. And we often call these moments mountaintop experiences because they bring clarity to our vision and they change us. It's like a foggy windshield wiped clean as we navigate the cloudy journey of our everyday life. And what's so intriguing to me about Merton's transformational experience in Louisville is that he was transfigured in the middle of his ordinary day while he was out running errands. Even though there is a plaque to mark that spot where Merton had this experience, it still, to me, just seems like an ordinary street corner with bricks and mortar and cement sidewalks. Yet right there, on the corner of 4th and Walnut, on a late winter's day, Merton found glory, shining within and upon the ordinary. Merton found the world in front of him radiating with the presence of God, and that everyone was being transformed from glory into glory. Now, with so many gloomy clouds blanketing our world these days, this story is a gift. How can we, like Merton, in the presence of both suffering and blessing, find glory shining in the ordinary in our world, radiating with God's presence? Well, today's gospel lights the way. Jesus takes his friends up to a mountain to pray, and there, as he reflects on his impending death and resurrection, he begins to shine with the indescribable light and love of God. Jesus, the Messiah, has been transformed into glory. The disciples were dazzled. They were dazzled by this light, and they wanted to savor it forever. I bet you've known and experienced something like this. Perhaps you've never thought of it as a transfiguring experience, where you would be turned into God's glory and you experience God's light breaking through your ordinary life, but they happen all the time. Perhaps it was experiencing the miracle of a birth, or the morning mist over the bluegrass meadows, or hearing our cathedral choir sing a stunning choral anthem, and we are transported into another space and time. We want to stay in that space forever, just as the disciples wanted to linger in the presence of Jesus, in the love of Christ. And yet God had another plan. After their time of prayer and reflection and this extraordinary experience of the Messiah, God speaks directly to the disciples and commands them to listen to Jesus. Jesus then calls the disciples to follow him down the mountain, to return and engage in the everyday life of human need. The disciples are called to find glory in the ordinary. They are called to engage with the hope and healing in the world. So as we turn our corner into Lent and begin that pilgrimage, we too are called to listen to Jesus and to follow his way of love and to find glory in the ordinary and engage the world. So how do we do this? Well, during his life, Jesus had a set of spiritual practices, of holy habits. He was always listening and praying and learning and resting and serving and blessing others. And he shows this pattern to Peter and James and John up on the mountaintop. And it's the way of love that changes us and it changes our world. Jesus shows us this rhythm, this set of holy habits to prepare our hearts for those deep experiences of God in the everyday, for finding glory in the ordinary by walking in Jesus' way of love. And so this is why these holy habits are so vitally important to us and why we give special attention to them in the season of Lent. Day by day, we are transfigured through simple spiritual practices of worship and prayer and humble acts of service. We are being changed from glory into glory, radiating love and compassion in our lives and in the world. Being in the presence of God and walking in the way of love with Christ changes us, and we often don't even realize this. We're made to shine with a love that has power to change others and to change the world. So as we begin our Lenten pilgrimage on Wednesday, we're called to listen to Jesus, to imitate his life by following him in the way of loving service and compassion. Like Jesus, we are made to shine with love. And this Lent, I invite you to open your life, to embrace the simple practices of worship and prayer and study and loving service, to reveal that love has a power to change our lives and to change our world. Amen.